Welcome to the Ultrahuman experience. This session is free for you for the complete experience. Please download the Ultrahuman app.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer. Your journey into sleep tonight begins with an awe-inspiring train ride into the picturesque Austrian Alps. The bright blue sky and the soft white peaks of the Alps have an inviting allure. Let's travel deeper into this beautiful, picture-perfect landscape and paint our dreams with all that the Alps have to offer. Settle in. Let go of your long day. Get comfortable in your soft, inviting bed. Take a deep breath and breathe out slowly. Tonight you feel entirely relaxed, looking forward to your train ride, which will take you up through the Alps. Take one more deep breath, and on the exhale, it is autumn, and the air is crisp, and you are beginning your journey through the mountains. The train pulls out of Salzburg into the clean mountain air of the Alps with a contented sigh, like a tired horse happy to be heading home. We begin the steady climb up into the mountains around 11. The day has warmed slightly, but hasn't yet lost the pearly gray mist that clings to it like a scarf. I settle more securely into my seat, letting my legs sprawl loosely in front of me. My butter leather suitcase with the red embroidered strap rides on the seat next to me, my jacket tossed over it. My traveling pass, in its soft blue cover, is balanced on the armrest nearby. I stow the traveling pass away in my suitcase and look around. The compartment is empty, except for my luggage and me. It's clean and roomy and smells very slightly of lemon. The deeply padded seats are wide and comfortable, with just the right amount of recline. I haven't taken many trips by train before, and it still feels adventurous, glamorous even, to settle into a compartment and wait for the world to flash by. I feel the glad, excited buzz in my stomach for the trip ahead, and my neck and shoulders loosen as the muscles stretch. I roll them slightly back and relax, leaning back comfortably into the deep brick red seat. The soft late morning light filters in through the window as I turn to look out at the mountains surrounding me. Since our path lies directly through the Alps, some of the mountains line the track so closely that I can't see where they begin and where they end. We rush alongside them in a blur. Others, distant white peaks and green valleys, remain steady in my sight for longer. We're just setting out, and my view of the far mountains grows closer as we approach. Salzburg, where we have begun, is a hilly city made of stairs and slate gray stones It's divided by a rushing mountain river and winding cobblestone streets, with views of the snow-capped mountains on every horizon. Staying there, I was already impressed with the distant grandeur of the Alps. But as the train chugs forward and the mountains surround me on all sides, I realize how much more there is to see. Back in Salzburg, I had stayed in an old wooden farmhouse perched precariously on the side of a forested white cliff. To get to it, I had clambered up what seemed like endless stone steps, crunching over fallen pine needles, and watching the city square get smaller and smaller below me. Finishing the climb each night felt like arriving at the top of the world. Now, with the Alps surrounding me and the city fading into the distance, I realize that I had only reached the first floor. Everything is wider and taller out here, bigger than I knew that it could be. I feel curiously small in comparison. I imagine my silver train car as a single speck moving on the side of the mountain, just one of many massive peaks that we travel along. We have long since left behind broad-leaved trees ripe with the fiery orange, cherry red, and warm gold colors of fall. Instead, the mountainsides that surround the train now are lush with deep pine forests. They fill the compartment with their cool shadow, their thick branches blocking out the pale gray light of the morning. I think to myself that although we already seem so close to the sky, we must still be fairly low in the Alps for there to be so much greenery. But greenery doesn't seem to be quite the right word for it. In the low light, the evergreens seem to be more blue than green. The lower reaches of the mountains are swathed in this rich, dark blue-green color. Looking into the pine forests feels like swimming in deep ocean water, or peering into the center of a sapphire in full sunlight. I think to myself that a painter would need buckets of blue to fill in the whole scene. The dark forest blue for the pines would be just the beginning. The sky above us is blue too, of course, but it's a hazy, pale blue-gray this morning. Thin white mists follow the train around every bend in the track, obscuring my vision and softening the sunlight. When I turn back towards where we came, I see a few of Salzburg's towers in the distance. Their domed roofs are bright greenish turquoise, the signature hue of weather-beaten copper. As I watch, they shrink until they nearly fade away. The train rounds a bend, and the last traces of the city are obscured completely from view behind another mountain peak. I turn and look forwards again, and settle in to watch the blue blur go by as the train picks up speed. We're approaching a river now. I can see it wind its way under a curve in the track up ahead. The aqua water is a pop of brightness against the darker pine trees. The banks of the river are overgrown, tangled with dark green bushes and large gray stones. The river appears to be still from a distance, but as we get closer, I can see the current moving briskly along the surface in waves. The train clacks over the bridge that crosses it, and for a brief moment, I can look down directly into the river. I can swear I see a school of silver-finned fish flash by, but they're gone in an instant. The train continues over the river and on deeper into the mountains. We climb higher, and the air begins to feel slightly thinner, even inside the compartment. The sides of the mountains are no longer as thickly covered in pine trees. They're rockier and coated with fresh white snow. The mist thickens now as well, obscuring the twists and turns of the tracks ahead. Wisps of it hover in the air like dove's wings. I can just barely make out the very tops of the surrounding mountains peeking through. It feels like taking a train through the white, fluffy clouds. And it might well be. We are so high up now in the Alps. A light snow begins to drift down, and the train slows ever so slightly. The intense blues of the landscape fade into pale blue-grays and crisp, pure whites as snow settles over the window. Delicate crystals fog the edge of the window by my seat. The frost fans out like lace embroidery over the picture in the window frame. The snow falls in light flurries that I can't hear over the rocking of the train on the tracks, but I imagine it as a light pattering on the glass, almost like rain. I lay my head against the thickly padded, dull crimson wall of the train car, watching the snow fall. Leaning like this, I expect to be rattled from side to side, but it seems we are on a smooth stretch. Or maybe the snow on the tracks eases the train's rocking, and so I'm able to let the weight of my head rest fully on the wall of the train car. With my shoulder and cheekbone up against the wall, I can see my own face reflected back at me in the glass. I smile slightly at it. I look so calm, eyes peaceful and half closed, upper eyelashes nearly brushing the lower, like the closely knit pine needles in the thick blue forests that we've left behind. The air I breathe this close to the window feels a little crisper, perhaps from the altitude, perhaps from the lively flurry of snow right on the other side of the glass. A chill lightly brushes my cheek, its touch refreshing against the cozy warmth of the train car inside. The world outside blurs, partly because of the brisk flurries of falling snow, partly from my own sleepiness. I can't say how long I stay leaning against the window. It's possible I drift off to sleep without even realizing it, lulled by the light snowfall and the gentle rocking of the train over snow-slicked tracks. I know that after a while I open my eyes again, just in time to see a small, snow-covered village come into view before me, arriving around the next bend in the tracks. The snow has stopped falling, although I see it's piled up in fresh white mounds on the roofs of the town ahead. At the heart of the village lies a wide field, maybe a public park or a shared green space. Its hedges and benches are heaped with sparkling white snow, although the paths through it look like they've been recently cleared. As the train cuts a wide path on a curve around the town, I have ample time to take it in. I see a stone building with a high bell tower right on the edge of the green, and a few slim brick red and yellow buildings with skinny peaked roofs that look like they're out of a storybook. The buildings stand on the eastern edge of the green, their roofs coated in clean snow. A few roads curve neatly through the town, flanked by the bigger buildings in the center. Small, well-kept homes, cottages mostly, with low, sloping roofs and squat chimneys, fill out the rest of the valley. I marvel at the town's neat layout and at how nothing seems to be too close together. Even though they all share the small valley high up in the mountains, every home seems to have its own space. It looks welcoming, seen through the light curtain of falling snow. Then the train pulls around a wide curve, leaving the small town behind. Around the bend, I catch my first glimpse of sunny blue skies up ahead, and the train seems to surge forward, as eager as I am for the brightness and warmth of the late afternoon. I check my watch and see that hours have passed since we first set out from Salzburg. Just around the other side of the mountain, the sky is impossibly clear and sunny, almost as if it's another day entirely. The snow flurries are forgotten, like a late-night thunderstorm. The fresh, bright light quickly melts away the thin frost that had glazed the train window. We're on a slight descent now, and trees that aren't pines reappear for the first time in a while, as well as wide fields of thick green alpine grass. Sunny skies and bright colors arrive back in the world. So does autumn, too. Sienna orange, vibrant yellow, warm golden brown, all grace the leaves of the deciduous trees that stand among the evergreens. They dot the sides of the mountains like splatters of red, gold, and orange paint. It's as if we have moved backwards a season from the first flush of winter back into the abundance of fall. Everything feels warmer and brighter. The highest peaks of the Alps still stand tall in the background with their thick white peaks of snow, but they're no longer mysteriously shrouded with mist. Instead, they are proudly offset against the bright blue of the sky in crisp outlines. The trees mostly still carry heavy coats of ripening orange, red, and yellow color, except for a few rare birch trees. Already bare of autumn leaves, the birch's bark mirrors the whiteness of the snowcaps in the distance. Some of the fields we pass look cared for, but some are overgrown and wild again. The train whirs by several goats standing in one pasture, all of whom seem supremely unconcerned by the train cars winding through their territory. Only one goat looks up at us as we pass, a small, glossy black one with curious white patches on its face. He has long ears, stubby white horns, and a white tail, and he gives the train an intelligent look before returning to pull at the long, juicy tufts of grass in front of him. His comrades haven't budged, and he nudges at the one closest to him. She seems to be his opposite in color, mostly white, with a few gray and black splotches on her back. She doesn't bother to look up from grazing. Evidently, the rest of the herd is used to the spectacle of the passing train. As we continue onwards, I see more herds of goats, usually clustered together. Some of the groups wander through lush fields, while some, the shaggier ones, perch on tall outcroppings, wedging themselves into cracks and crevices in boulders. They leap daintily from rock to rock when they want to, but for the most part, they seem focused on enjoying the overgrown mountain grass. This side of the mountain seems unexpectedly abundant, I think to myself, even if there are only the goats around to enjoy it, and a few birds that I hear calling from trees as we pass. It has been a while since we left behind the small town in the mountains. And even though the land seems more fertile and friendly here, there are no signs of civilization besides the goats and a few trimmed fields. However, no sooner have I thought this than I am proved wrong. The train rounds another bend to reveal a single, narrow, tall white house set apart from the railroad tracks. The house has a neat triangle of a roof, out of which juts a wide, peaked chimney made of mismatched stones. The train must be passing the back of the house, since I don't see a door, only 4 windows. 2 long ones that seem ordinary enough, set at the 2nd floor level, and 2 small square ones that must be set in a slanted roof room right at the top. The house stands directly in the middle of a tall, grass-carpeted hill that seems just wide enough to accommodate the house and the one leafy tree that stands over it. And I wonder idly how the people who live there get down. The hill itself stands perched alone in a wide, lush green valley, guarded by autumn-dipped trees and evergreens. The peaks of the tallest Alps are silhouetted in the far distance. The whole idyllic scene unfolds rapidly and is just as quickly gone from sight as the train continues by. In the fading afternoon light that filters in now through the window pane, the mountains are more picturesque than ever before. The sunlight warms me, but the compartment isn't hot, just filled with golden light from the end of the afternoon. It streams in as individual rays, pooling on the seats and floor in amber patterns that dip and waver with the train's movement across the tracks. I lean back into my seat as I watch the green fields and white-capped peaks arrive at and disappear from my window. I'm accustomed now to the way the train rocks quietly back and forth, like a ship at sea, and I find it begins to lull me back into sleepiness as the soft, late afternoon sunlight plays across my face. The change in weather and in scenery has left me feeling tired, but content. We've traveled from misty blue pine forests up into bright white snow-covered altitudes, and now back down into the warm autumn light of the middle slopes, painted in pumpkin orange, sunny gold, and tomato red. My thoughts drift by slowly while my eyes begin to close, and I wonder what it would be like to live in one of the quaint cottages high up in the snow-covered town, nestled amidst the mountain peaks. I think of skiing down soft powder white snow every day, and then returning home to a steaming mug of fresh hot chocolate. Or what it would be like to keep goats in the solitary white farmhouse on the hill and stride through your own broad valley each morning. I imagine the brush of lush green grass against my shins, the crisp mountain air filling up my lungs, and I heave a deep, contented sigh as the train rocks me gently from side to side. We turn to climb back up higher into the Alps again, and I feel the warmth of the late afternoon begin to give way to the cool ease of early twilight. The train sways gently, and my body sways along with it. I allow every muscle to loosen and relax. Fading soft pink light brushes the snowy peaks and washes over my window, marking the end of the day up in the Alps. I let myself drift off into a deep sleep, and the train continues forward through the mountains into the beginnings of a beautiful golden sunset. Good night and sweet dreams.